I was the kid they called when something broke, never when something mattered. When a faucet leaked, I was the speed dial pick. When my cousin's Xbox died, I became family overnight. But when I finished trade school, there was no fanfare, just a thumbs up from my mom, the default beige emoji, like she wouldn't commit even to that. I grew up where achievements were judged by vibes, and mine never passed. Claire could sneeze near a piano and be hailed as musically gifted. I built a shed at 15, wired it myself, and my dad said, "You should have leveled the bass better." So I stopped waiting for applause. I became the quiet fixer, cheap, reliable, and unnoticed. That's how they used me, a backup generator they only remembered when the lights went out. I wasn't bitter at first. I had a plan. While Claire curated an Instagram life and collected likes for rented arm yoga poses, I worked double shifts at the warehouse, saved every penny, ate instant soup like it was a delicacy, and watched repair videos like binge TV. I didn't complain or post. I worked. Then the duplex job happened. A neighbor needed an HVAC overhaul. I took it on alone, finished early, and word spread. Suddenly I wasn't just the family handyman. I became Nate, the guy who knew what he was doing. Jobs multiplied. 2, 4, 10. One day I checked my account and realized I could buy a real place. Not a mansion, not big, just my own house with a backyard and walls I could fix myself. At 26 I signed the papers with calloused hands and a grin I kept to myself. I painted every wall, replaced switches, fixed squeaky hinges. Kevin, the retired vet across the street with a beer belly and a basset hound named Kevin, gave me a thumbs up from his fence. That meant more than anything from my parents in years. Part of me hoped, maybe too much, that this would change things, that they'd see me as more than spare parts. So I caved. I sent a family group text, bought my first house, barbecue this Saturday, would love to have you. No emojis, no begging. Claire left me on red. Dad didn't reply. Mom sent, "That's nice, Claire's got big news too." I didn't ask what. I knew it would be shiny and loud. A photo op with a loan attached. I set that aside and prepared anyway. I borrowed a smoker from Kevin, bought backyard lights, set up paper plates and a red check tablecloth, and even bought champagne, not expensive, but something that popped like finally. I cleaned chairs, strung lights, lit citronella because Mom hated the smell of bugs. I wanted one of them to sit on that plastic chair and say, "This is nice, Nate." That's all. By afternoon, the smoker was full and the yard smelled like hickory. If I closed my eyes, I could pretend they'd arrive. I'd gone the extra mile, mason jars, citrus slices for photos, a little effort to make them comfortable. Still, by 1 o'clock, no one had shown. At 2, only wasps were guests. No texts, no running late, just silence. Kevin called across the street, "You throwing a party or feeding squirrels?" I laughed and said both. By 3, the brisket was done, juicy, tender, the best I'd made, and no one to eat it with. I opened the champagne and then made the mistake of checking Instagram. Claire's feed flashed, her posing beside a gleaming white SUV, bows on the mirrors, sunglasses on, key fob in hand, caption, "Dreams come true, dizzy first ride. Thanks Mom and Dad," sparkly heart. SUV goals, next photo Mom arm in arm with Claire, Dad crouched by the bumper, thumbs up. They looked proud and giddy, like it was their celebration. I stared. They'd skipped my barbecue for a dealership photo shoot. No apology, just celebration. Mom texted me a link to the post with one line. "Isn't she stunning? Your sister deserves the best." I didn't reply. I stared at the untouched food and made a quiet promise. Next time they needed anything, even a light bulb, I'd be the one who didn't show. The next morning I didn't rush my phone. I made coffee the way Dad pretended men drank it, black and bitter, and started cleaning the grill. I fix things even when nobody uses them. As I scrubbed, their needs ran through my head. Holidays when I drove 2 hours to fix a backed-up sink. Summers I installed an AC unit for free, when Dad called it life or death. Nights I changed tires in the rain for Claire while she scrolled TikTok. Then my phone buzzed, missed calls. One, then two, then six. All dad. A text. Pick up. No greeting. No hey, how are you? 10 minutes later, we need you to come by. Something happened. No context. No mention of yesterday's barbecue. Just urgency. I set the phone down and kept washing. It was always like that. They needed me. Then they moved on. This time I told myself, I wouldn't be the first to drop everything. My phone buzzed again, more calls, more texts. I let them ring and finally typed one word, busy. That Saturday afternoon, it stayed quiet. I cleaned the patio, tossed half a tray of sliders, lit a cheap candle to get rid of the smell of burned expectations. At 6:43 p.m. tires crunched gravel. I peeked through the blind. Of course it was them. Dad driving, Mom holding something likely meant to smooth things over. Claire in the back with sunglasses and a phone. Balloons still tied to the SUV's mirrors. Bianca, they called the car, glittering and staged. They rang, knocked, and then started demanding. I didn't move right away. Why open the door for people who skipped ribs for a showroom slideshow? Eventually I went. Partly because I didn't want Kevin to think someone was robbing the place. Dad's first line, "Why didn't you answer your phone?" I said I did. I replied, "Mom, we need your help. It's Claire." Something happened. Claire, still pouting, looked up. Some idiot at the car wash scraped Bianca's side mirror and drove off. Can you believe that? Can you just fix it already? I walked out and checked the damage. Surface paint transfer, not deep. I estimated $150 for a proper job. Claire groaned like I'd asked for a kidney. You could do it for free, she said. Sure, I could, I replied, but then I'd be enabling the same people who skipped my housewarming for a photo op. Mom tensed. You never said it was that important. It was my first house, I said. Forgive me for thinking it meant something. Dad pushed. Are you going to help your sister or not? There it was. The line I'd been crossing all my life. Help because you can. I looked at them. Claire already acted like she'd won. Mom wore the glazed Hallmark smile. Dad looked annoyed, like I was inconveniencing him. I said slowly, "You're right, I am reliable." That was the prettiest cage they'd built around me. I listed it quietly. I reliably smoked ribs, bought champagne, cleaned the house, set a table, and none of them showed. I held their eyes and then I smiled polite and said, "Call a shop, pay someone. Don't come here expecting me to drop everything again." Claire huffed. So that's a no? I shut the door. They stood on the porch for a while, awkward, then left. Claire slammed the SUV door. Mom tried to smooth things with gestures. Dad drove off, probably heading to the next time he needed me. I didn't feel anger or sadness so much as untangling. The next day, Mom texted, "Don't be like this. Claire is upset. Can we talk?" Then Dad, "This isn't how family behaves. You're acting selfish. We raised you better than this." I read that line twice. Better than this. They raised me to be quiet, to fix, to help without asking for anything in return. They raised Claire to expect everything. So no, they didn't raise me better. They raised me tired. By Wednesday, Claire texted, "Hey, can you drive me to my lash appointment? Bianca's mirror is still scratched, and I don't want her seen like this." No apology, no please, just assumption. I'd drop everything. I didn't reply. 15 minutes later. "Hello, you literally live 10 minutes from me." Still nothing. An hour later. "I know you're not ignoring me. I know you saw this." I wrote back, "Busy." She fired right back, "Wow, you're such a child." I didn't get angry. I'd finally understood something. Claire didn't want a brother. She wanted a free Uber driver with a wrench set. That weekend I ran into Kevin while taking out the trash. He waved. "You still cleaning up from that feast? Smelled incredible." I laughed. "Most expensive meal I ever made for ghosts." He grinned. "Still waiting for my invite, by the way." I said next time. Only good people invited. He raised an eyebrow. That family of yours never came, huh? And I shrugged. For once I didn't feel the need to explain. I felt oddly free. Sunday night Dad texted. Your mother's exhausted. Claire needs help moving furniture into her apartment. Come by. That tone, no please, just an order. I looked at my truck, the one I'd bought and kept clear of favors, and thought of all the weekends I'd burned hauling their stuff because they didn't want to rent a truck. I typed 3 words, hire a mover. Then I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, popped in my earbuds, and kept repainting the porch. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting to be needed. I was just living. Silence has its own violence. At first the messages slowed. Mom stopped guilt texting. Dad went quiet. Claire stopped asking for rides. It felt like peace, until the cracks showed. Claire posted a brunch selfie. Champagne glass. Pout, captioned, Self-Care Sunday. In the corner of the shot, Bianca's mirror, still taped and scratched. Comments flooded in. Did your SUV get keyed? Get that fixed, sis. Claire replied passive-aggressively. I would fix it. But some people are too petty to help. I didn't reply. I screenshotted it and added it to a folder I'd labeled Evidence I'm Not Crazy. Then the thermostat went wrong. The digital unit I'd installed last summer had been put into vacation mode, and the house was roasting. Melanie texted, Uncle Jeff is melting down. Did he call a tech? No, he says you'll come around. By Thursday, Mom left a voicemail in that soft, trembling voice she uses when she wants a favor, but not to sound demanding. Hi honey, could you help? Basement lights are flickering, kitchen fan won't run. I hit delete without anything. I wasn't angry. I was done. Friday, Claire posted a dramatic voice note on her story about family being fake and not supporting you, unless it benefits them. She followed with a poll. Have you ever been betrayed by your sibling? I voted no. That weekend, Kevin and I worked on new porch lights. He asked if my family ever made up for missing the first barbecue. They try showing up when something breaks, he said. My cousin only calls when her car won't start. He'd told her to call a tow. No. Sunday a call came from their landlord. The water heater blew and the hallway flooded. Dad had tried the wrong valve and water sprayed for hours. The landlord quoted a plumber $500 just to show up. And they weren't paying. Someone found my name on a Christmas card I'd once signed and handed it to the landlord. Hi Nathan, I was told you're the family handyman. I took a breath and closed the tab. Later that day, Mom texted. We could really use your help. Serious. This time, that word used to trigger me. Now it only reminded me of what they never called serious. My housewarming, my time, my effort. I turned on my porch lights, sat with a beer and enjoyed the quiet of my boundaries. The porch looked good, the lights bright. I grilled some chicken for myself. No guests, no expectations. Then the car arrived. I didn't have to look to know the engine's purr. They pulled up like it was a music video entrance. 3 doors opened, phones and heels and exasperations. They rang the bell 3 times, then knocked. Claire called out, Nate, we know you're home. Your truck's right there and we can smell the food. Dad, come on, enough's enough. We just need a few minutes. Mom put on the placating tone. After 5 minutes, my chicken started to sizzle. I opened the door a crack. Need something? I asked. Claire rolled her eyes. Why are you acting like we're strangers? I said, you are. Dad blurted that this had gone too far. I said we are family, which is why I assumed when I bought a house and invited you, you'd show up. Claire, you're still mad about that? I said I'm not surprised anymore. They stood waiting to be invited in. I stepped onto the porch, closed the door behind me and asked plainly, Bianca still scratched? Claire looked away. Thermostat working? Dad grumbled. Basement lights? Mom pressed her lips. I nodded. Cool. They were quiet. Then Mom said, we need you, Nate. It should have struck me differently. Instead, all I felt was pity for them. They'd built a life where I was the backup plan. Without me, they had no plan B. I told them, I don't need you back. This porch, this house, this life, it's mine. I'm not trading it for your emergencies. Guilt trips or Claire's scraped mirror routine. Dad confused. What does that mean? I said slowly. I won't keep dropping everything. Claire called me dramatic. I smiled. She'd thrown a fit over a mirror after all. I said, you came here because things broke, and the guy who always fixed them stopped showing up. Then I shut the door. They didn't knock again. 2 weeks passed. No texts, no calls, no sudden arrivals. I got more done in that time than months before. Finished the porch, strung lights, built a fire pit, cleaned the garage. The quiet was louder than their chaos had ever been. Then a DM from Melanie. OMG, your name's on the flyer for the community fundraiser next Saturday. I'd sponsored it months ago, donated supplies, covered grill rental, offered to host. She sent a screenshot with support from Nate Ellis, Ellis Property Services. Kevin must have told the committee after I fixed his fence. I showed up as people arrived to see a banner, live music, and a table of food, ribs, sliders, corn, with my name on the sign. I didn't put it up, but I didn't take it down either. Halfway through the event, I spotted them. Claire, Mom, Dad. Out of place, heels, uneasy smiles, scanning faces. They hadn't seen the sign yet. I didn't go to them. I grabbed a plate and sat, letting the universe do the work. They found the banner, read it, then found me. I raised my glass without smiling. Claire froze and turned away. They left without a word and didn't grab a plate. Neighbors complimented the event. Someone asked about my business. I handed out a card. Kevin clapped me on the back. They looked surprised. I nodded. Now they know. Later that night, Dad texted. We didn't know you were doing all that. I stared, then replied, you never asked. I hit send, turned off my phone, lit the fire pit, and toasted a marshmallow by myself. Not lonely, simply not waiting for them to show up anymore.